Hi there, Glocal citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around manifesting a new world. I'm your host, Florence Adu, coming to you from, I just found this lovely co-working space, courtesy of my guest today, that is literally 15 minutes from my house. Can I tell you how happy I am? So let's just celebrate that. There is a co-working space in Sakumono, in Accra. Well, that's Tema. We like to claim our Tema. And it's here, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, that's where we are today. And a little bit of background on my guest. We met through a couple of other local citizens. We met at an event. It was around the opening of a place called the Akuna Pod, or there's a festival, something of that nature. And Valerie Labi and Asari Ajay were both there we were all there together, and we met and connected. And so I said, oh, you've got to come. They said, you've got to come. And now I just found out that this is a first for my guest. I'm so excited. So let's get to his bio and we'll take it from there. He is a chef and founder of Precase, a hospitality practice focused on private dining, brand activations, and culinary consulting. Working across concept development, sourcing, menu design, and execution of immersive experiences for brands and private individuals, his focus is on building considered hospitality that connects food, people, and place through African ingredients and contemporary dining formats. A Michelin-trained chef and a member of the Ghana food movement, in collaboration with partners, he was instrumental in launching The Kitchen, a food hub designed to train young chefs and promote Ghanaian and West African cuisine globally. Chef Mawuli Dzansi, welcome to the podcast.
Midase. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you for that. So let's get started. Where are you from? Where are you local? And what is your craft?
First of all, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's the first for me. I think in a long time. I think I've not even been on the podcast. For a long time, I've been running away from being interviewed or asked questions. Okay. In the span of 5 years, I've only done a few interviews. So I'm happy and proud to be on here and also talk about my life a bit more. So I am from Ho in the Volta region of Ghana. There's a small town or village inside Ho, which is called Hue. I have never been, unfortunately, but my parents tell me it's one of the most beautiful places in the Volta region. And I still look forward to going there sometime.
Okay. Say it again. Where?
Hue.
Hue. Ah, okay. Kind of like Hohoi.
Yeah, kind of like Hue.
Yes.
Hue.
Hue.
Wow.
Okay. And where are you local?
Where am I local? I'm local in Accra. So I live in a small town that is on the coast, basically in the Ga area. I call it a beautiful town. For me, it's a warm embrace on a rainy day. That's how I'll describe it, living in the heart of the local community with the Ga people who are usually fishermen in my neighborhood. And so on my morning walks with my dog, we can take like a quick morning stroll at 5 a.m. and then would end up with our rewarding sight of welcoming sunrise on the beach, something I love so much. And my dog also loves as well. And then we also see the fishermen pulling up their boats from the morning catch, basically.
So have you picked up a lot of Ga living around?
I mean, I've been here for 5 years. And so, yes, I picked up a lot of Ga along the way. I mean, from my staff, who are basically Ga people, and then also my surroundings, my neighbors, my driver speaks Ga. All of those things.
Okay. So small.
Small.
But you're few. But your native tongue is Ewe.
Ewe, yeah, I'm Ewe. I speak Ewebe from the Volta region of Ghana.
Okay, awesome.
I think it's the same as Benin and Togo. Yeah, well, some parts of Benin and Togo as well.
Yeah, so that's those lines that someone else drew for us that created these boundaries. We all know we're brothers and sisters. So, okay, and then describe your craft.
My craft is me. It's unique. My craft is an extension of myself. My craft is art. And art, for me, in its simplest form, is, like I said, an extension of myself, how I view the world and how I perceive it. and how I translate that into all the things I do when it comes to food, my relationship with people, my connection to nature, and how I want to feel and be in a space, basically. And that is my craft.
I love how you put that, because someone would assume that you could boil it down into just saying I am a chef, right? But it's so much more than that. And I love how you created the visuals around how you think about pleasing the palate.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does a young man who's from the Volta region but has never been there? So where in Accra did you get your sea eyes around becoming who you are now?
That's a very good question. For me, it was a bit like very unconventional. I never thought I'd become a chef even. Growing up, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in the arts, but where in the arts exactly, I didn't really know. But I knew I was going to do something around law, journalism, no, even the media, basically. Like I know I was going to end up somewhere in the media, but as to where in that line or along that line, I didn't really know. But my mom, a teacher, great as she was, said, I know you're going to stay in the arts. There's a whole ecosystem around the arts where you can find your calling. No matter where it is, there are ways you can blend whatever you feel into whatever you want to do. Like it's a big world. You can do and be anything you want to be. So you don't have to decide now, but I'm going to help you map out the path to becoming. And so she was instrumental in advising on what courses I should read when I was in high school, with looking at my interest, because I used to love reading books a lot when I was a child. And so I was the kid in primary school who would not like eat his pocket money for lunch. I'd rather buy storybooks with that and then befriend the grandmother on the compound who was I think the mother of the proprietor at the time. And she used to give me like lots of bananas and groundnuts for free just because I read so well storybooks to my friends and colleagues at school. And that was impressive to her. So just to support me, she'd give me free bananas and groundnuts, and then I can buy all the storybooks I need. And so that informed my mother's decision to advise me to study history, literature, governance, and also French, which she thought was going to be very instrumental in the way she perceived me and my love for languages. Because at the time, I could speak 3 Ghanaian languages fluently.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said at the time.
At the time.
But now?
I still do.
Okay.
I still do wiggle my way around the Ewe. I can speak 2 variations of Ewe, which is a tongue and then Ewe Dome. And until recently, I do well with the Anglo as well. So,
okay.
3 variations of the Ewe I can speak fluently. I think not so well with a tongue, but I can move myself around a tongue district. But then,
So
basically.
give us a little bit of the geography of those languages, right? Because the Volta region expands north to south. And so when you're describing where each of those is from, give us a little bit of the geography of where in the Volta region. So Ho is north. And so that is one aspect. And then so the other ones I feel are closer south. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it even informs my decision to explore more the Volta region.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, even for my hometown where my dad comes from, I've not visited yet.
Yeah.
But I've had the chance to visit Keta, thanks to a friend who I told once, I've never been to the Volta region. I was like, oh, you're playing. Let's go to Keta.
Yeah.
Like, why is Keta? It's like, oh, the Anglo part of the Volta. You love it. And I went to Keta with him. We spent, I think, 4 nights there. I fell in love on the beach, yes, but also we visited like his uncle's farms, like the things that connected me with food. We went to a local village where there was a local party and they served banku akle. I think akle, the Anglos have the akle, and with the agbametadi and abobi, which was also really nice.
Okay.
And so that I did in Keta. But I think I recreationally, I spend more time in Akosombo. And also that could be a bit conflicting because then people would say Akosombo is more on the eastern side than the Volta. But then I think, my fond memories
the languages are both Akan and Ewe in that area, yeah.
So then my fond memories of the Volta would basically be, I think recreationally, where I like to spend time, that is Vume in the Volta region, where the pottery is made, a little distance from Sugar Coffee.
Yep.
But I think I spent more time in Rome then.
Okay, all right. You're going to have a nice journey in the show notes with the Volta region folks. So take note of that. Okay, so mom supported you widely, and then you entered the ecosystem to decide and kind of determine like where you were going to land. So you thought storytelling from a media perspective, which I think you have a full circle about that. But when did food become your main story?
Food became my main story, I think, in my later part of primary school. Yeah, it was later part of primary school where I realized that I loved food so much. And I would always run to my mom when I see her making gravies. I think she makes the best gravies. Whenever she's making gravy, she makes it with fish and a little bit of canned or tin tomatoes. And so I used to love tin tomatoes a lot. So to get like a scoop of that.
So I'm curious now, and not to interrupt, because, so the tin versus the fresh and in cooking. So now you know this food science piece of it. So why do you think you love those so much then now?
I think I was a sweet tooth. I was a sweet tooth. Yeah, the sweetness and the color. It looked rich and vibrant.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this place Mama is putting in this food? Yeah. But also I think what attracted me more to the cooking side of Mama was not necessarily the canned tomatoes or the tin tomatoes. It was more of the fish, because she used to use a lot of smoked mackerel in her cooking. And that you can tell that exactly the richness and flavor that comes with. So she'd always give you a piece of the smoked mackerel and like a rewarding way to say, oh, thank you for fanning the fire to the pot. And that for me was like exciting. Yeah, I think that was what built my understanding, because of even spices, because usually around the time I go to her in the kitchen is when she goes in with the onions in the oil and then the spices, then goes the tomato paste. So it's usually, so for me, my thought process even about around spices started from there, or began from
there. Like properly cooking the spices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because once I get my fish, I'm out of the kitchen. I'm going back to I'm going back to reading my book. Like I'm gonna pick my storybook and continue reading.
Sure.
But that definitely I think that instilled in me a bit of cooking, because later on in primary school, I found myself cooking for my mates during potlucks. And so I'd always want to make my own food and take it to the potluck. But yeah, structurally speaking, I think the business of food attracted me more than anything else, because I was very entrepreneurial growing up. So like I said, even to afford storybooks, I had to get free bananas and groundnuts from the grandmother that was on campus at the time. But then also more because I did something exciting, like also very illegal back in school, to make more money to buy storybooks and also uniforms for myself. I think what I did was, there's this Ghanaian candy called Alewa, black and white. And it's this candy made out of sugar and food coloring that is stretched so many times and shaped into different shapes and sizes. Exciting usually for kids because of the pop of colors and also the sweetness that comes with the sugar that is made with. I used to like it fresh, and I realized that when it's still soft and not so chewy, I used to like it then. And funny fact, the factory for that was 2 minutes walk away from my school at that time. And so I don't know how I ended up in the factory with one of my classmates. I think it was called Nicholas. Yeah, Nicholas. And we ended up there to buy the candies, smuggle it into our school.
Oh.
And then Nicholas had a brilliant idea. I'm going to fund you buying the snacks, and then you do the sales, and then we split profits. And for me, I liked money. So I wanted to maximize a lot of the profits. So then I didn't sell, I borrowed. So my classmates would come to me, borrow the candies, they would pay the next day, but at a premium fee, or 3 days later at a premium fee, so we can have more money. And that's how Nicholas and I started a business back in primary school. And then we smuggled like toffee candies in Alewa. In at the time, and we made like money. I bought myself more storybooks. I remember I had like a big trunk of storybooks. My mom, what at all do you use all this money for? I'm like, Mama, look in the box. That's what I use the money for. Yeah, I bought myself uniforms. My mom at some point stopped buying me uniforms and like even school essentials because I could afford them myself.
Okay.
But she didn't also know what I was doing to get the money.
Right. But I
Like
mean, she just suspected her son was enterprising somehow, right?
Exactly. So then I think that informed it forms the bigger picture of my stepping into food basically. So after primary school, I went to high school. My mom's guidance to study French, history, governance, and literature, just based off my interest to see what the grand world of education is going to do for me. So in high school, I had another business. I think I did so well and excelled in French so much that I became the school spokesperson for multilingual events. So you'd see me emceeing events based off English and French at our school prize giving day, official events for the school where we have like governments come into to visit, like the Minister of Education come in to visit, all of those things. And you'd find this little bilingual boy speaking French and English, ushering people in and then doing his thing, both in drama and also like in arts on campus at the time. But then the illegal thing I did, but was not so illegal, was that I was a day student in this very local school in Ashaiman. It was called the Ashaiman Secondary School. This is the first time I'm also mentioning where I actually went to school because people never believe where I went to school.
Okay.
They never believe it.
And I mean, part of that is the context of Ashaiman it's an offshoot of Tema, but people know Ashaiman to be a little bit of a rough and tumble,
the rough and tumble
area.
Kind of place. You don't want to mess up with Ashaiman people. I think it's
the Ashaiman boys, like Shatta.
Exactly.
Shatta, is it Shatta? Stoneboy, Stoneboy.
Yeah, I feel like it's the most commercial district in this part of Accra because I somewhat compare Ashaiman, the life in Ashaiman, to Surulere in Lagos.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah. It's the hustle and bustle.
Yes.
The markets, it's one of the biggest markets also. I think that also, and also the fact that my school was also not too far from there, looking at all this hustle and bustle, like incited in me like an entrepreneurial spirit of some sort. And I always thought food was going to be the answer to that, to me exploring. So even in school, I made friends with a classmate who was like a year senior to me. She was the head girl at the time. And her mom had a pub where they sold local drinks, palm wine to be precise. This girl had this brilliant idea to serve kebabs to pair with the palm wine. And in serving this kebab to pair with the palm wine, she kept that part of the money because that's not her grandma's original business model. It was just the palm wine. And so her supplementary or her complementary kebabs to the palm wine made sense. She grew at scale with the business. She needed help with someone who could help serve more guests. And then she was like, Emmanuel, do you want to help me sell kebabs on the weekends at grandma's pub? I asked, does it pay good money? If it does, sign me up.
Right.
So she did.
Yeah.
And then we became business partners.
Okay.
And then I used to go grill kebabs for her and I made money on the weekends. But then also I saw a bigger business opportunity there. So I then started an online kebab business where on the weekends I opened the orders and people order. So then we started having a delivery. So my friends would tell their parents about my kebab business. And you know, parents always like to support like entrepreneurial kids. So they'll shoot in their orders. And then I realized I started making like a lot of kebabs on the weekends, which grew into a business. It grew into my first business called Manuel's Grill.
Oh, wow.
And so Manuel's Grill became a catering house where we only serve grills at events, parties, and whatnot. And also to some extent in corporate.
Yeah.
And so,
people love kebabs.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. So your kebab spice.
I'm building up to that story.
Okay.
It's going to excite you.
Yeah.
Because then I went into the market with this friend of mine. And then I noticed something special. She even likes to source her kebab spice herself. And if it doesn't taste as she wants it to taste, she'll buy the separate ingredients from the local women and come back and make it.
Yes.
And that's where I got my first kebab recipe from. Until I started reading more on the vlogs, checking Indeed by Fafa, and seeing more of her advanced technique when it comes to making African blends and spices. And then I built my own spice wrap or my own spice blend with the suya base. And I started even shipping to people in the US.
Really?
And in the UK.
Okay. Okay.
Because people who come to the event I cater the kebabs at would ask, "Oh, your kebab powder is different. Can we have it?" And these are usually diaspora clients who come to this event. And so I found myself making wraps and spices and sending it over to them.
Oh,
And I get paid
nice.
nicely for that as well.
Of
Because you're
course.
getting like maybe the dollar equivalent of what
Yeah.
you are usually
Yeah.
charging here, like
Exactly.
locally.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's incited that. And then my first ever business, Manuel's Grills Catering was born. So there I was like, no, there's money in food. And
Okay. Yeah.
it comes natural to me. I like what I do. I have fun with that. I like the fact that I can be experimental with it and play around it. And so right after high school, before I went to French school, also because I became very good at French. So I thought just to use it up. So I went to French school and the kebab business
That
was
was how
basically my
you
school fees for
supported
French
you.
school.
Yeah.
And so in French school, I just established the business at once. I pasted everywhere. Oh, I have kebabs. You want to buy? Put in the order today. Tomorrow I'm coming to campus. You have it by 10 a.m. And that they can have for lunch. So yeah, even in French school, I had my kebab business going on well. And then I met
And that's at Alliance Française.
Alliance Française, voilà. And that's where there was this corporate banker in my level. She was just learning French for fun and also to fulfill her dreams of not learning French at an earlier time in her years. And so now that she was on retirement, she was doing that. And she loved my entrepreneurial spirit so much that she always, like, even for my class, orders like a bunch of kebabs just for the entire class to taste.
Oh,
And when we had
wow.
like birthdays or parties or events, school-related events, she would say, "Oh, you guys should contact Emmanuel to do the grills for the." And it expanded also into like my food business. So the grill business became so nice and efficient that we had a food service attached to it. So we started making jollof, started making chozafi, we started making banku and tilapia, and then fed into like the larger catering system we had for it. So like, yeah, it became my first official business actually after high school, through into French school. I saw the return it could make me, and I was like, okay, maybe I just have to stick to food. So yeah, in sticking to food, I couldn't make the decision off instantly because my parents were going to question me. I had to give them proof that it's going to be a good one and it's going to secure me. But my mom gave me a condition. Her condition was that finish school, finish French school, get your certificates, get a job, and then you can still do the business as a side.
So you decided to get a job.
Until yeah. So I still had to get a job. So after French school, or even before, when I was in French school, I thought the best way to learn French is to immerse myself in the language. At the time, I couldn't afford going to any French country to immerse myself there. So then I developed a trick called immersion, where I switched my phone's language to French, my radio, my music, my literature. I started buying French literature, I started making French friends also. So then everything French. I'd go shopping in Accra and I would
You
speak
would act
any
as
language.
though,
Yeah, I
yeah.
would act like I'm from Togo or Cote d'Ivoire and I would only speak French to people I'm buying from. And I could tell they understand, I could tell they know that I'm Francophone African, but then also they would speak to me in their dialect and say, "Na French ni we ka sit down, sit down," which means like, what is this Frenchman saying? But I know exactly what you're saying. I'm just pretending I don't speak Chi or ever, so you don't get it. I'm trying to immerse myself, and they'll find ways and means
To communicate.
and they'll
Uh-huh.
even find people like it's funny how you'd find a Togolese woman in the market and they'll redirect it to you. Oh, please tell us what he's trying to say. And in the end, this person was like, "This guy's not even a real French person," and they'll catch me and they would applaud me for the effort I'm putting into learning, and that for me was fuel enough to start my project called French the Fun Way with Emmanuel.
French, the
Fun way
fun way. Oh, I
with
love
Manuel.
that. Yeah.
So for me, it was fun. Fooling people into the idea that I'm Francophone and I don't speak English. It was fun. So I have to, and when I'm caught, I'm ginger to learn more and faster. So then I walked into a school and I told them, "Oh, I have this fun project. It's called French the Fun Way with Manuel, where I like to teach kids the basics of French." And for me, yes, I was doing a service to the kids, but I was also doing a service to myself. Because for me, practice of the basics in French is the sure way to get to the mastery of French. And how can I do that more frequently with more hours? Is to interact with kids and teach them the basics I learned from school. And whilst I'm doing that over and over again, it sticks up here and never goes anywhere. And then the proprietor of the school was like, I would usually not do that, but you seem passionate about it. And so we'd give you the chance. And that ended up being me teaching French for 3 years as a foreign language to Ghanaian students at the primary level. And it turned into a club. And
Wow.
that club graduated to me moving on to the Cambridge Affiliate School to teach French to young learners also at the Cambridge level
Wow.
for another time.
Wow.
And I did that so much, so well, so that the principal of the school was like, the kids are so in love with the language and the parents don't want you to go. Why don't we have weekend classes also? And I'm like, weekends are my money making days for free.
Yeah.
But then I played it on for a bit shortly after COVID with the Cambridge Affiliate School. I still love them so much. I did a bit, then I was like, okay, it's time for me to leave. So then I left and I started food full time.
Yeah. You fulfilled your promise to your parents.
Yeah.
And then you've done that.
And I went into food full time.
So this is now a why the where kind of question. So I usually ask the question, why the where? How did you come to be living, working, and playing where you currently are? So we've kind of gone through that. So now full-time food. Why the where of where you landed? Where did you land first?
When I left education or teaching the kids French, I landed in my auntie's house.
Okay.
At a time where it was clear to me, because I had proven the concept of like the food business and how it could help. I had like a client base already and established a reputation along the grilled foods line. And I was like, this could actually work, but it can't work in my mom's house.
Oh.
To build anything great, you need focus, and focus needs support. Who amongst my circle can support me to reach where I want to reach at the moment? And my auntie's name kind of head, because she was the one in the family who was always unconventional and did the things that they asked her not to do.
Okay.
So I just called her, Auntie, I'm at a different phase in my life where I want things done, but if I stay here, it's not going to happen. And it was shortly after also, I think it was around the COVID times. And she was like, well, I know how hard that can be, because I was also very sad because I felt I couldn't pursue the things I want to do if I had stayed back home at my mom's. And so I remember I was in a bit of like back and forth with my mom about it. But then she had no choice than to give in, because when I want something, I go for it. So my auntie was like, well, you can come stay at my house. You'd have a home. You'd have a room to yourself. I hear you do like cooking a lot. Even though I like to cook, I don't enjoy it so much. So the barter would be you cook for the house and you have a place to stay, and I support you with everything you need.
I love it.
So ingredients,
Yeah.
equipment, whatever I need to cook the recipes I want to cook, Auntie provides it. And that's what the family ends up eating for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So here is me having an experimental
A lab,
home to
your
cook.
own lab.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To cook with.
Yeah.
And then also providing Auntie a little break from the usual hustle of the home, where she can go for a manicure and a pedicure, or do something nice for herself, or do the things she plans for herself, but knows that the home is well taken care of. Her husband is well taken care of and fed. Like the kids are also well fed and like with good food. Like a cook making all the food for them in the house.
Exactly. A chef.
Like a chef making the food for them in
or
the
a
house.
chef in the making.
Exactly. And that is how it started. So that was the point where I was like, okay, I moved from my parents' house. I'm in my auntie's house. I'm experimenting with all these food. And at the time, there was this app called Clubhouse.
Yeah. Clubhouse was, that was a COVID. Yep.
And I always entered the food where, the room where food is being talked about. And so I also have I had a huge opinion about how I thought food is perceived in Africa and how it should be presented and how it can compete on the global stage with other people. Because I was playing with food, posting on my Instagram, people reacting to it. But then also I felt like food is bigger than that. So I started consciously looking for organizations that champion and pioneer the promotion of African cooking or African food. And that's how I came in contact with the Ghana food movement. Yes, that's where everything began to best. Because I remember at the time on Instagram, I was scrolling randomly, and then I saw a food safari being organized by the movement. And I was like, these people are doing exactly the thing I want to do. Where have they been all this while?
Yeah,
food safari, people traveling just to uncover or discover local ingredients and watching it being cooked in different ways in different regions of Ghana. I want to join this safari.
Yeah.
But I couldn't afford it.
Oh, right.
And then a few hours later, they posted a giveaway.
Oh, wow.
We are doing this. So I texted my friend Kwame. I was like, there's this giveaway online. It's by a food movement. And they are basically doing all the things I'm interested in food. I think we should go. Be my person to go with.
Yeah.
Then we did the
application, all that business.
And we won.
I love it. So where
since then we never looked back.
So where was it was in Ghana?
It was in Ghana.
But it was traveling.
It was traveling.
Nice.
So the movement at the time had the food safari where they would pick like one ingredient or a food staple and then do a travel around it. Follow. So for example, they want to look at the value chain, also maybe focus on fish. And then the fish that is commonly eaten basically in Accra is tilapia with a banku. Yeah. So then they want to explore tilapia in all its way, where the tilapia is coming from into the main city. So then they would organize a trip to maybe the tilapia farms in Akosombo. And then we go there, we see how the fish is being grown, how it's taken like from the river to the table, basically. Yeah. And then we catch some ourselves, we season, we cook, and we eat together. We have drinks around it, and we drive back to Accra. It's the end. That I found myself doing that once every month.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So fun fact, I visited the food movement offices and interviewed MA there right before it opened. And so before the kitchen was open and all those things, I was in there and saw it. So it was so awesome to see that there was that connection and that you spent the time there and were part of the launch. So tell us about, that's where you found the food movement. And now you're kind of getting into this grown-up business world, right? So things kind of seem to fall together. You're really good with money. But now how are you structuring yourself as an entrepreneur to be like a food economy leader from a business perspective? What does that look like for you?
That's an excellent question. I think it leans more into where I'm always at the thought on how like our food is perceived and also like served. And I think even that idea birthed my business Prekese, because Prekese came right after we closed my restaurant Dawadawa in Osu.
So Dawadawa was at the time while you're involved with the food movement?
Yes, Dawadawa was at the time whilst I was involved with the food movement.
So you would have been one of those lab chefs. So that gave you the insight to be...
Exactly. Yeah. So even Dawadawa, funny enough, Dawadawa's original name was Dawadawa Labs Limited, the Dawadawa Labs Limited, where like we experiment with local food and local ingredients and then present them in a grand scheme of like menu for the corporate clients around the Impact Hub to enjoy. And that's what we're doing there. And so it was even an extension for the movement. At the time, the movement didn't have a home. And so Dawadawa is where the meetings for the movement were had. That is where events like the Food Film Thought, where a film or a movie is based off a local ingredient. They look across the value chain, its benefits, what are the challenges, all of those things. And it's even usually crowned with a dinner at the end of the day or at the end. And that at the time was the central hub for the movement and everything. Until even before we got before we got the grants from Tony Chocolonely Foundation to build a kitchen. I remember I was up in my office at the Impact Hub and I was in my office at Dawadawa, and Lottie, the founder for the movement, came down to me rushing up from upstairs saying, "We got the grants, we got the grants, we can build a kitchen finally." I'm like, yes. And yeah, that's how we went into the phase for building the kitchen. At the time, I was focused on my business, on the restaurant Dawadawa a lot, but then also I was contributing a part of my time to the movement. And like you already know the movement, you know what we do, you know all the things we do there. But also I was constantly in a journey of rediscovering myself, my passions and the things I wanted to do. And so it was around the time that the movement sponsored my trip to Europe to explore different aspects of food when it comes to B Corp catering, when it comes to Michelin cooking, when it comes to food influencing, food PR, all of those things. It was at the time the movement sponsored my trip there.
So that started it. That gave you the framework to then operationalize.
Exactly.
Okay, and then, yeah.
So when I got back from Europe, then I had a fair idea of which aspects of food I wanted to delve into. So I wanted to stick into private dining, but also private dining with a focus on contemporary African cuisine. that is using modern techniques of cooking and pairing it with local ingredients, bring it together, serve on a plate.
Nice. And that is fricassee.
And that is prekese. And that is prekese. But prekese wasn't only built on or built centered around me, because then I was also looking for a sustainable business that can operate without me. And that's where structure comes in. And so we divided prekese into three models, where we had private dining model, we had the consulting aspect of prekese, and we also had the experiential dining aspect, where the experiential dining takes care of brand activation and immersions for all these big global brands. Then the private dining focuses on private individuals and businesses who want
Dinner parties.
dinner parties,
Yeah.
all of those things.
Small
then
events.
Small events. And then the consulting aspect of prekese focused on helping local businesses scale across using local ingredients and making it a profitable business. So we began helping cafes open now. For example, even Cafe Kucheza, we did the model for them where they're more like Africa forward, like African ingredients forward. And then we consulted for a few other brands that wanted to focus on African menus, because then there's a notion in Accra that African menus don't sell. People would rather want to eat the pizzas, the burgers, the what have you. And that is not very local to us. All this imported stuff is not good for our economy also, and our health. And so how can we make our local ingredients hip and make it into exciting menus where the local people want to go and pay for and eat? And that's how we build and structure businesses. So then if you are a young entrepreneur or an innovator or somebody who has the funding to do a business when it comes to food, like you come to see us and then we advise you on which inline to tour with the kind of amount you have. So then in this short span, we've built like restaurants. We consulted for restaurants from conceptualization to execution phase. And then we've also worked with like some established organizations in Accra to build like in-office kitchen that only serves elevated local meals as lunch or dinners for their staff, where they don't have to always look for the imported stuff to eat.
It's more affordable.
More premium.
And
more
people
local.
will eat. Yeah. I love that. Yay. And that's coming soon. You're in business, but you're launching in a space.
Oh, we've launched a few. So we worked with Dikan. I don't know if you know Dikan.
Yes.
Yeah,
the photo.
Exactly. We did we built their in-house kitchen and also did their in-house menu for the staff. That was like locally centered. We've also worked with Domido, which is like a local pork brand, where they were looking for ways to add value to pork and not just serve it as like a fried pork situation, but then in more exciting ways. So think about pork, but served in a sweet and sour way with jollof or more savory or more exciting options for their clientele. Then currently we are working with a company called Denya Developers, and then we are building for them a contemporary dining restaurant.
Oh, nice.
Which is supposed to be launched next month.
That's the site.
Yeah, that's the site.
Okay, got it. So you're operating. Prekese is not a physical location necessarily. It is the activations that you do and the consulting work. I get it now. Okay, awesome. So speaking of this local focus, we want to hear what you hear. So I ask you about Glocal speak, which is a word, a phrase, or a saying that is a meaningful part of your local experience, and why or how you come to value it as Glocal speak.
Sankofa.
Aha. We know Sankofa, but let's hear your why Sankofa is meaningful for you.
Why Sankofa is meaningful for me, I think it's centered around my practice, basically looking into the old and reinventing them into the new, contemporary African dining. But if I do have the chance to mention another word that I'm known for in Accra, locally sourced.
Locally sourced. There we go. And just so meaningful, right? Because as we look at food crises, as we look at fuel as an issue, we really do need to understand ourselves again through our food. That's one, because, I think Ghanaians are very, very, we're definitely attached to our local foods in the regional local foods, and our banku, our shito, our everything. But we're also not necessarily, it's becoming less cost friendly to a degree, because our farmers aren't getting the things that they need to continue to produce them. And so we have a lot of cheap imports, particularly biscuits and things like that, that are challenging our system. And so if you were to do, some kind of projection on where you see the opportunity for, like, big opportunities for young people getting into the food movement, where are you seeing wanting to direct young people?
I think it'll be more into product development because young people can innovate. Young people can think of cool ways to present the things they want to eat, basically. I'm talking along the lines of Gen Z because then there's a way I like to eat my food. It's still local, but it's exciting. For example, there's the head chef of the Ghana food movement. He's called Chef Abiro. He has this innovative product called the Tiger Nut Patty.
Okay. Ooh.
Where that is his version of a typical burger patty, but for vegan, or no, I won't say vegan because sometimes he uses eggs in making them. But he also has a vegan version. But then he has a vegetarian burger patty where like every vegetarian can eat, not necessarily having meat. And I think, I'm not even thinking, that is my favorite kind of burger to eat.
Okay.
I don't even like the beef patty anymore. Because the tiger nut patty is...
It sounds delicious. Wow. And high protein.
And it's so nutritious, and it's also very local.
Yes, they're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
And these are the things we should be innovating and producing. And even on that level, so thinking of him innovating that product and using it in his dinners, we are even thinking on a larger scale where on some of the restaurants and menus we consult for, we can have tiger nut burger patties as opposed to beef patties.
Right.
And support the local economy here.
Exactly.
The local producers, the local farmers, and then support the local chef who is innovating those products and putting them on our shelves and also in our kitchen and also in our menus in the restaurants. I foresee, if I should project, that Accra would end up eating more tiger nut burgers than...
Burgers. Yes. From Ghanaian enterprises.
Yeah. And that for me is powerful. That for me is eating local and
I love it.
And being local.
I love it. So that, what you just mentioned, is kind of like a mindset hack. So I ask my guests to tell me about a mindset hack. So how do you hack your mindset?
I believe in the power of the mind to achieve anything.
Limitless. Okay. That is powerful. It's just a really core belief that gets you where you need to go in the present, in the future.
Yeah, I believe in possibilities. I think my brain works on the fact that nothing is impossible. Anything can happen so long as we put our minds to it. We can do anything we want so long as we put our minds to it. Like, we can establish great stuff. We can do great things from small places so long as we put our minds to it. Because then, looking from where I come and where I am now and where I am heading, it takes a great deal of mindset change to do that. Because then I remember growing up in the community I mentioned, a shaman, someone in my family said, "Oh, you are not," stated categorically, "Oh, where you're staying, you're not going to do anything better in the future because of our surrounding, because of our environment." But then it doesn't have to define you. The mindset has to be different. Where my head is, where my mind is, my target is set to.
Totally different.
Yeah. So we can do great things from small places, and we can be whoever or whatever we want to be, as long as we put our minds to it. And
I think you hit on something. It's okay to be different. I think that's a big fear that people have around self-actualizing, is like, it's okay to be different.
It is really okay to be different. It's okay to honor your art or give an extension of yourself to the world authentically. For example, when I started out in food, I said I wasn't going to do fast food or artificial food or flavorings or all of those other sides when it comes to food. I was going to focus mainly on local ingredients, sourcing local, innovating around local products, and making sure that this is celebrated on the plate of our clients, both here and abroad. And that is what we see. Like, on a daily basis, the queries or inquiries that comes into our private dining request box, it's not for imported meats or French cooking or French style cooking or Italian style cooking. They ask for Ghanaian inspired food presented in a modern way for them. So then you're sticking to the flavors of old, you're sticking to the ingredients and then the items you get on over here, but then also presenting in a fun, more exciting way for them to experience. And that is what we're looking for. Like that should be what we all looking for basically here.
So we've gone through this journey. What's new and next?
I'm excited about the new restaurant opening because the offerings on that restaurant opening is 100% local.
Love it.
Even our batches are not imported. The
Okay.
batches are made here
Okay.
in Accra
Okay.
by a local farmer.
Nice.
And all our suppliers
That's
are...
big.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's 100% local.
Yeah. Because we don't have a tradition of dairy. And I mean, people might not consider butter dairy, but it is part of, but yeah.
Yeah. And even to an extent where the things we can find locally in Ghana, we only source from other African countries.
Okay.
So think about Kenya, think about South Africa.
Yeah.
We're keeping it local. We're keeping it to the African continent. Yeah,
what is continental?
Yeah, we're keeping it to the
properly?
continent. So
Yeah.
I am proud that we are working in 100% African restaurants.
Okay. I love that. But you mentioned your studio.
Yes, Studio Chagala.
Yes.
It excites more of my creative side.
Okay.
Yeah, Studio Chagala excites more of my creative side. It is how I perceive things. I've always had an eye for things. I've always had an eye for seeing beauty in the smallest things. And that extends to how I design the spaces I build, or that extends into how I design menus. It extends into how I film content, or how I document my process, or how I want the world to see my art and perceive it. And through doing that, I found a bunch of musketeers like myself who are passionate about capturing Africa or African culture in a distinct way and presenting it to the world. And that is how we built a small team of creatives, and we document and shoot things around food, culture, direction, and we named it Chagala.
I love it. And so where can we see that work? Is it all collated, or is it on your various platforms?
It's on our various platforms. So we consult for sustainable, eco-friendly resorts, basically.
Oh, lovely. Mm-hmm.
Where I visit and do my travels too. So we consult for river cottages in Akosombo. We also do Odo Valley in Buzwa, and a few other places as well, in Iberi.
Okay. So we'll look out for that.
We'll look out for that.
Wonderful. I've loved this conversation. It's been so refreshing. I should ask you what your favorite thing to cook is, and you can answer that. But we also want to know who you are when you're not in the kitchen, when you're not working, when you're downloading. So are you a reader, a watcher, or a listener? And what are some of your favorite reads, watches, or listens? Or what else do you do when you're not on the clock?
I would say before the clock, in the sense that it gets really busy. I'm not a morning person. It takes me a lot to work and to get into the day, also because of the scale at which we produce events and experiences. And so for me, a big chunk of my morning is music.
Okay.
Loud, danceable music. So you'd find me playing between 7 a.m. right when I wake up. Once I wake up from bed, the first music that plays in my head is what I put in my Spotify playlist.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So if I wake up and my brain is telling me we're doing Afro House, I just put in one of my favorite playlists from Afro House. If it tells me we're doing music from the 80s, I put it back in. I put it in there and I cue it up. Whatever song I wake up with first in my head is the first song I put in my Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
And then I make sure to dance for 30 minutes.
Oh, I love it.
Through my morning movement for workout, through to my shower, through to coming back and getting ready, I dance for close to 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, before I set out for the day.
Okay. Basically, so what was today's music?
It is of Mawumi's Dance to the Music. The dance to the music. I danced so much to that because I was also very nervous coming on the show with you.
Oh.
And I was like, no, what better way to do this than to dance it all out? And
I love it.
I think I danced for 30 whole minutes.
I love it. I love that. My mother used to do that. My mother still does that. She'll just put on music and just dance. And I always wonder, I didn't wonder because we have a dancey house, but she would just get down. And so I can just see you being in the house and just kind of in the morning, just doing the dance.
Yeah. That's for me. I like Accra for that because there's a growing new culture for music and dance in Accra where like the young people are more into like DJ curation sets and also building music experiences where you never get tired of going to a music event in Accra.
But I will say that I don't see people dancing as much as I want them to dance when I go out in Accra. So maybe that's just my crowd.
Maybe that's the place you should go to. But I can assure you there's this place this weekend and they're playing some 90s and 80s disco and old school Ghanaian tunes. And I've been invited. Maybe you should come with me. You're going to dance your heart out.
Let's put it on the calendar.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Mawuli, this has been awesome. I really, really thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy. I can't wait for a food experience, which I have yet to experience, but I will.
We should invite you. Yes. It's one of our immersive experiences.
Yes. Coming soon.
Yes.
And so as we part for today, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Whoever you are, wherever you are, set your mind to something and achieve it. Because there are endless possibilities out here.
Set your mind to something. Yeah, that's I love. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Glocal citizens, this has been another episode of the podcast. You can catch us Tuesdays with new episodes at glocalcitizenspod.com or wherever you get your podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, leave us a review. We love to hear from you. Check out the show notes. They're going to be very rich with so much information about what we talked about today. And until next time, bye for now.